Hi, Mark Alderman from Alderman Chevrolet GMC, Vermont's favorite car dealership and New England's #1 destination for GM electric vehicles. Now, I wanted to share with you some insights on electric vehicles. They come from two different types of manufacturers. On one hand, you've got manufacturers like Tesla and Rivian that are very young companies and they're building EVs from the ground up. On the other hand, you've got traditional auto manufacturers that are converting internal combustion engine vehicle designs, gas-powered vehicles, into EVs. Now, so on the Tesla side and the Rivian side, they lack the experience of how to manufacture a vehicle with quality, fit, and finish. They lack understanding of suspensions and ergonomics and the basic way people use vehicles. On the other hand, converting a gas-powered vehicle to an EV does not end up with a great design. General Motors combines those two things. This is the most comprehensive lineup of electric vehicles by any manufacturer, and every single one of these vehicles was designed and engineered to be an EV from the ground up. Then you combine that with GM's incredible network of dealerships throughout the US. Over 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a General Motors dealership. If you have to service the EV, it makes it a lot easier. So let's take a closer look at the full lineup that we've got to offer. So we're going to start off, we're going to show here, this is the 2024 Chevrolet Equinox EV. This vehicle starts off below $35,000 with a range of 300 miles. So this is America's most affordable EV with a range of at least 300 miles. It's a smaller to mid-size SUV, available in all-wheel drive, and it's got great lines and design. But let me show you inside this vehicle. What you do is press right there, and the door handles open up. One of the first things that jumps out at us is these incredible screens. So it's a very driver-centric design. Chevrolet has its own design language versus GMC. But overall, the technology is, it's much easier to have the latest and greatest technology in an electric vehicle design. Also, what you'll find throughout the ownership cycle is that the technology will update and grow with the vehicle. So it's not the same as when you got a vehicle and 3 years later, it won't be as outdated because a lot of the innovations will come through software updates. Also, the spaciousness within the vehicle. An electric vehicle design is much more efficient and compact than a mechanical internal combustion engine design. So overall, the interior dimensions are much larger than you would expect to find. Now, one thing that we've lost is a start button. There's no ignition button. Because with an EV, as long as we've got the key fob, all we do is tap the brake and the car is on. With these new infotainment screens and how large they are, they're very easy to navigate, and things like the maps are just tremendous and huge. So very easy to follow, and then everything is highly programmable. So we can even move the maps to the driver information center that's right in front of us, and there's different designs that we can use. So there's a lot of different ways to personalize the car, but overall it's super simple and easy to use. For example, when I put it in reverse, it's got the camera comes on and there's the overhead view. There's cameras in the front, cameras in the back, cameras on the sides. So it's very easy to use because the camera senses where surrounding objects are. And so when you get close to an object, say in the front camera automatically comes on to alert you that you need to pay attention and just to be able to give you the information. So overall, just a very easy car to drive. Now, the other thing with EVs that a lot of people don't understand is you never have to put gas in them. So you think about how often do you put gas in your vehicle. But driving an EV, most people set up level 2 charging at home. They plug it in overnight. So they never are stopping to fuel up their vehicle. So not only is it less expensive to drive an EV, but it's a lot easier to drive an EV. Now this vehicle also is rated for 96 miles per gallon. What that means is that the EPA has done the math on how far this vehicle should go on the electric equivalent of a gallon of gas. And so imagine having 96 miles per gallon. That's essentially what this vehicle gives you right here as an all-wheel drive. So let's keep going on and take a look at some more vehicles. So I mentioned that 96 miles per gallon, it's actually MPGe. The range is right here, 285 miles on the all-wheel drive version, 300 miles on the front-wheel drive version. Now, a step up in size, but not necessarily without compromising economy. This is the Blazer EV. This is a little bit longer vehicle, a little bit wider. It's got more passenger and cargo space, but you get the same 96 miles MPGe, right? So 96 miles on the equivalent of a gallon of gas. So let's take a look inside here. First up on the window sticker, slightly less range overall, 279 miles. But let's hop in and take a look at the Blazer EV. Overall here with the Blazer EV versus the Equinox EV, we've got some similarities and some differences. So one of the similarities is the overall design language of the EV. You've got the same screens, similar design on the steering wheel. There are slight differences in the seat designs and the dash designs, but the spaciousness, the unexpected spaciousness, is very similar with the Blazer EV and the Equinox EV. After looking at traditional internal combustion engine vehicles from the outside, every time you get an EV, it's like, wow, can't believe how much space is inside the vehicle. Once again, we don't have the start button. We just simply press the brake pedal and everything comes on here. So there's a lot of different things that we can do, including drive modes. We have a normal mode, a sport mode, snow and ice, or you can customize your own mode. And you can change things such as the steering, how the steering feels is very easy to change, the brake feel, acceleration feel, even the motor sound. And you can have that normal sport mode. We also have something on EVs called one pedal driving. So one pedal driving, we just engage with a button here and the one pedal's on, and you can adjust the level on the one pedal. And so what is one pedal driving? It's essentially using only the accelerator, and when you pull back on the accelerator, the vehicle automatically brakes. It's very similar to driving a golf cart, for example. Now, you still can use the brake in a panic stop situation. So one pedal driving has a couple of benefits. One is it recaptures energy as you're slowing down. Another is that it's not using the friction brakes, so your brakes will last a lot longer on an electric vehicle. And you get overall more range by driving with one pedal driving. But one of my favorite benefits is overall the vehicle stops much quicker. Now think about, like, not necessarily a panic stop, but when you have to get on the brakes fairly quickly, in that situation, the act of taking your foot off the accelerator and going to press the brake, but just the act of taking it off the accelerator, you're already braking. So you find it to be a much quicker braking experience. One of the things we've found is with customers that have driven an EV for a while, they think it's nice, the vehicle performs better, it's quicker, it stops quicker, it handles overall better, and it's nice. But then, after several months, they get back into the internal combustion engine vehicle and they are blown away with how much difference it is. So it's a fascinating aspect of electric vehicles. So let me show you more on the outside here. So one of the more underappreciated benefits of an electric vehicle is the handling dynamics. And so let me explain the difference. You take this vehicle here, it's probably 40% heavier than the equivalent gas-powered vehicle the same size. However, that gas-powered vehicle, the vast majority of the weight is here underneath the hood, in between the front wheels. And the center point of that weight is very high compared to the wheels. Now with an EV, the battery makes up the majority of the undercarriage. So we've got several benefits that we are able to leverage in the engineering of the EV. So we're able to put the wheels more on the corners, right? Because you're not limited by that mechanical design. But also the weight on most EVs is nearly 50-50 between the front and rear wheels, and overall the center point of the weight is lower. And so when you're driving around, the overall handling is considerably different. Now, these vehicles are E all-wheel drive, the trucks are E four-wheel drive, and these have a feature called torque vectoring. And what torque vectoring is simply is where each wheel can have torque taken from it or added to it based on what it needs. This technology has been around for a while in a mechanical all-wheel drive platform that has offered some incremental improvement. But it's much easier to have this torque vectoring with an E four-wheel drive system, and it's much faster. So instead of mechanically sensing when a vehicle needs more torque, it senses it with a sensor, and then it's more instant or near instant with the overall electric vehicle powertrain. So they're overall quicker, but their four-wheel drive is far superior to a mechanical all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive platform. Now next up here we've got the Silverado EV RST. Now a lot was made of the Tesla Cybertruck. In my opinion, this is the truck that Tesla's going to wish that they made. This is an electric truck that was made from people that know how to make trucks, and they spoke with people that love to drive trucks. They've got a rich history that's all going into making this an incredible truck. One of the things that stands out about this truck is it's got massive range. This has a 240 kilowatt battery. Now to compare it, both the Equinox and the Blazer EV have an 85 kilowatt battery, so it's a much larger battery. And even though it's a truck, it has massive range. This particular truck is 440 miles on a full charge is what the range is on this truck. So a couple of things that we have with this. Also a benefit of the electric vehicle powertrain, we're able to have four-wheel steering on this truck. So the rear wheels, under normal circumstances, lower speeds, the rear wheels turn the opposite direction of the front wheels. And so the net effect of that is that the turning radius is much shorter, and it's actually less than, say, a Honda Civic as far as turning this vehicle around on a U-turn or a complete circle. Now at highway speeds, it automatically recognizes that you're on highway speeds, and it can sense when you're changing lanes. And so changing lanes at highway speeds, the wheels actually turn the same direction. So think about the vehicle going down the road, and normally to change lanes, you'd have to have the vehicle change like this and then get back to going straight. So it would have to get off center from straight, right? Or a different angle from straight. But with the rear wheels turning the same direction, this vehicle actually slides from one lane to another and back, and it does that all automatically. So this vehicle has a normal, I believe it's a 5.5 foot bed. The EMPG rating on this vehicle is about 60 miles is what you can expect to go on the equivalent of what a gallon of gas would. So a gallon of electricity, say. And then this vehicle and the Sierra both have what's called a midgate. So the center of this vehicle that divides the cabin from the box can be opened, either just the lower part and leave the glass in, or you could take the glass out and put the whole part down and then have the whole back side of the truck open. What that gives us is up to 9 feet of weatherproof storage with the tailgate up, or put the tailgate down, remove the tonneau cover, and put the load stop up, and you're well over 10 feet of continuous storage. So think about something like a sofa you'd be able to handle in this truck. Now when we look in the back of this truck, The space inside is absolutely amazing. This seat is back, I would say, about 60% of the way. It's where I would put it. And look at this. I've got maybe 18 inches of leg space. Then this comes with a fixed glass moonroof. Again, this is the well-equipped Silverado RST. And so it's got a very open, spacious feel to the truck. Let's take a look up front. Now, similar to our other two vehicles, before we go inside the front here, the wheels are pushed out to the corners, which really improves the overall handling. And again, the battery makes up that lower part of the undercarriage. But this allows us to have 24-inch wheels, massive 24-inch wheels. And let me just show you what's underneath the hood of this truck. We've got a secret hidden button right here. We press that button and this front opens up. And here we got what EV owners have come to call a frunk. GM has coined the term e-trunk. I call it the takeout trunk. My wife loves to order Brussels sprouts as part of our takeout. I'm not a fan of Brussels sprouts, or the way it makes the inside of my vehicle smell for 3 days. So we put the Brussels sprouts right in here. Doesn't bother the inside of my vehicle. This is weatherproof storage and even comes with a 120 volt outlet right there. Press this button to close it, or we can close it from inside the truck or even with the key fob. So let's take a look inside. And so again, inside the Silverado, we've got some similarities, right? It's clearly the same family. It shares the DNA with their other siblings, but we have some uniques as well. Some more truck type features. You've got the strong center console here, and there's some different options here. But again, no start button. We just press the brake. Everything lights up and is ready to go. Drive modes are a little bit different and unique to the Silverado. So the Silverado features this button, which is one of my favorite buttons on the whole vehicle. I refer to this as Thor's hammer. So when we press this button, that opens up more of the battery pack, and that gives you kind of a high acceleration, high power mode. And so if I've got a stretch of road where I want some extra power, I click that button and I've got that extra power available to me. Press it again and it goes back to more pedestrian type feel, which frankly, even the pedestrian version is really fast. Unique to the truck, I've got the off-road version here. And there's the tow haul. And this vehicle can tow up to 10,000 pounds. And when we put it into tow mode, it has all sorts of features here to help us hook up a trailer and make sure that it's connected properly, that the lights, there's light tests. It's very easy to trailer with this truck. Now, one of the differences of trailering with the Silverado, remember I mentioned that an EV is about 40% or weighs about 40% more, and that weight is evenly distributed. Here's what we found from people that are towing with these vehicles. Normally, that very light aspect of the back end of a truck when you're towing, it means that the trailer more or less owns the back of that truck. And so you feel a little bit like the tail is wagging the dog. EV is a totally different towing experience. With the added weight and the more centralized midpoint of that weight, the truck is much more confident when towing a vehicle. So, of course, you've got all the creature comforts in this vehicle, heated seats, cooling seats, and lots of different cameras and different camera views. And again, it's all automatic and super easy to use. So let's keep going on our lineup of vehicles here. So our latest entry here is the Sierra EV Denali. Now there's a lot of similarities between the Silverado and the Sierra, and most of the differences are in design. Now if you scan back through the vehicles that we've talked about so far, one of the things that jumps out at you, they all look great. So they've all got the latest and greatest in lighting technology, great LED design language up front. The Sierra is different than the Silverado in that respect, but also there's little kind of Easter eggs here. So for example, these three lights, these are here from a design perspective, but also they have a functional use, and that's when it's plugged into a charger. You could tell if it's, these lights indicate what level you're at for charging. So just one light on is 25%, two lights on is 50%, three lights on, you're above 75%. The same exists on the Silverado. If you take a close-up look, there's actually 3 LED lights here, and so both sides, and on both vehicles it's from both sides, but if one light's on it's 25%, two lights 50, and three lights it's 75% plus. We still have the takeout trunk in the front. We also have 24-inch wheels. One difference that a lot of people, it really, there's very differing opinions on, is that you see this kind of cuts off more of a traditional type truck shape here in the back. And on the Silverado EV, we have this triangle here. It's actually, the technical term is a sail. So, and this harkens back to the Avalanche, was one of the first vehicles to feature that in its vehicle design. However, some people love this and want this, and some people don't like it at all. And the Sierra EV does not have that. That has that more traditional vertical design here in the back of the cab. Now, both share the midgate, and it's exactly the same, functions exactly the same, and the interior dimensions are exactly the same. So overall, there's a design difference with the Sierra EV Denali, a couple of different trim things. The interior does look considerably different, and the materials are considerably different. Think more sporty with the Silverado RST and more upscale luxury with the Sierra EV Denali. So let's take a look inside. All right, the first thing that jumps out at us on the Sierra EV is this vertical infotainment screen. This is going to be a signature of GMC design. And you're seeing this in both their internal combustion engine vehicles and their EVs. So once again, no start button. We just hit the brake to start that up. This features, I'm not sure, this is it feels like real wood. Not sure if it is or not, but it features wood and a lot of metallic finishes. And overall, the interior does have a more premium feel to it. The seats have a very breathable leather type surface, and it's kind of quilted here on the top surface. Just overall a very comfortable feel to it. So we're going to go ahead and take this vehicle for a drive and see what it's like on the road. Driving an EV, it immediately jumps out to us how much quieter the vehicle is, but it's much more responsive. So EVs, they refer to it as having instant torque, and it's near instant, but essentially both the braking and the acceleration are much, much quicker. And so when you drive an electric vehicle for any period of time, and then you drive that internal combustion engine, what jumps out at you is the amount of lag in between pressing the accelerator and actually getting the result of pressing the accelerator. And that is about 95% eliminated on an electric vehicle. Let me just say it's at least 95%. Again, I referenced the different handling and weight dynamics of the vehicle, and you immediately notice that just the moment you get on the road. One of the nice features here is an electric camera mirror. This is not unique to an electric vehicle, but a lot of the more upscale GM vehicles have that, and you can zoom in and zoom out with that camera. It's a nice alternative to the regular mirror, and GM's design is very simple in being able to just switch back and forth between the two. So one of the things I'm anxious to share with you, first, the acceleration is just amazing, and you don't feel the shifting. So it just happens. We're at 65 miles per hour, and it was so effortless and so quick to get there, and I didn't even try. Like, my foot's barely hitting the accelerator. One of my favorite new features available on General Motors vehicles is Super Cruise. Now, Super Cruise is not unique to an electric vehicle, but it's much better on an electric vehicle because it's overall smoother, because the electric vehicle responds quicker to inputs. So now we're driving 70 miles per hour on Route 4 here, and with Super Cruise, we know it's a Super Cruise enabled road because it gives us a little steering wheel that's in white. That tells us it's Super Cruise available. So I press this button, and now the vehicle's driving itself. It's attended self-driving. So there's a sensor right here that is identifying whether or not I'm alert and paying attention to the driving. So as long as I'm doing that, the vehicle will drive itself. Now, this is a new emerging technology. It's available on 700,000 miles of US roads. To put that in perspective, the US interstate system is about 100,000 miles. So it's 7 times what the US interstate system is. Now, if a vehicle was in our lane going slower than the 70 miles per hour that we have it set at, Super Cruise would automatically change lanes and then change back. Or I could manually ask Super Cruise to change lanes. So all I need to do is tap the turn signal, and Super Cruise will identify that the lane is clear and go ahead and change lanes. And it takes care of it all automatically. If I want to change back, again, I can just tap this turn signal and change back. Now, I can remain hands-free, and overall what I found in my personal experience is it's about 40% less of my own energy to drive. For example, a 4-hour trip feels more like a 2-hour trip when I'm able to utilize Super Cruise. Now, I will condition that you do have to, there's a little bit of a learning curve in getting comfortable with the Super Cruise. For example, if I'm over here like this, clenched right over the steering wheel, it's not that relaxing. But once you get comfortable with what it does and what it doesn't do, and when it disengages, what that feels like, it really is a much more relaxing way to drive the car. Now, if we were coming along and there was something on the side of the road and I had to manually steer into the other lane and go around that, I could do that, and you see it's flashing blue there, and that means Super Cruise is temporarily paused. Now it goes back to green. Now the vehicle's driving itself. Now, if I were to look away for too long, the Super Cruise, see if I can get it to do it here. See if I cover up the sensor. You see how it's flashing green right there. If it recognizes that you're not paying attention, it will flash green and then it will disable itself. So, and if it disables itself, it slows down, puts on the hazards, pulls over to the side of the road if you don't take control of the vehicle at all. If you do take control of the vehicle after Super Cruise has kind of given you a warning, then Super Cruise would remain disabled until you've parked the vehicle and turned it off for a minimum of 5 minutes. So Super Cruise is one of my favorite new innovations that's available on cars now today. All right, now I want to talk about the different drive modes and the effect of that. But I mentioned Thor's hammer, and it's a little bit different design here on the Sierra. But let's turn Super Cruise off, and we'll slow this vehicle down a little bit. So when I punch the accelerator, this vehicle goes up in speed very, very quickly. And it's much quicker than an internal combustion engine vehicle. But if I were to engage Thor's hammer, right, now that opens up more of the battery pack, and there's a considerable difference in the acceleration of the vehicle and in the sound of the vehicle by having that high power mode on. Now, certainly there's a consequence in that it uses more of your battery, but sometimes you just feel like you need to take advantage of something like that. So I've turned that off so we get down to regular driving. So back at the dealership, I'd like to show you the impact of the four-wheel steering on the turning radius. So we're coming around the back side of the dealership here, and we'll just get around here. And so now I'll just show you where I do a U-turn. And you can see that we were able to navigate that U-turn in less distance than a Honda Civic would have been able to do the same U-turn. I'm really excited to share with you a very cool feature called Auto Park Assist, and I've got a little demonstration set up here to simulate parallel parking. So if we were parallel parking, we'd hit Auto Park Assist, and then we would select what kind of parking we want to do. We can click this button is parallel park on the right. So we'll click that, and we'll drive along slowly. And what we're going to do is drive past an available spot and wait for this to turn green. And then the vehicle will take over and completely park itself. So we should get green here in just a moment. Okay, so now we hit park vehicle, take our hands off the steering wheel, foot off the brake. We do want to stay and pay attention, stay alert, and however, the vehicle will take care of everything for us and park the vehicle perfectly. We've got the cameras here, and we kind of keep our eyes out front. And this takes care of whether we have to go, sometimes you have to go back and forth more than one time. So it's backing up, shifts forward, and is now going forward. And then backing up. We're all good to go. Vehicle's already in park. We're ready to get out and enjoy. That's Auto Park Assist, available on every single one of the GM EVs available today. Now we've got the exciting GMC Hummer lineup here. It starts off with this incredible front appearance here. In each one of these, you've got Hummer spelled out in the front lights, and this lights up when you're driving down the road, or when the vehicle's on. The headlamps are actually down below here. And this truck is made to off-road. It actually features 3 electric motors, has horsepower, I think over 780, goes 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Features 24-inch wheels on this particular one, fixed running boards. Now with the SUV lineup here, we come to the back, and we've got a power gate here that opens up sideways, so it's power open and power close. And you can see you've got room back here for stuff. You've got a little bit of hidden storage down below. It is a higher load height, that's as a result of the battery. It includes trailering built in from the factory. And so this is a 2-row SUV. The rear seat's very comfortable and spacious. You've got a split 60-40 fold down rear seat that folds down completely flat. So I can push this button here and that closes up. Inside, not as spacious as the Sierra and Silverado, but very, very comfortable, even with the front seat all the way back. Comfortable for 5 adults. And then one of the things that we pick up on here is this has removable tops. So there's 4 different tops. This is a Hummer exclusive. So whether you're looking at the sport utility vehicle or the sport utility truck, all 4 tops can remove. This would leave a T-bar in the back. There's a crossbar here between the front and rear seats. And then the T-bar in the front is actually removable. So you get what they refer to as the infinity roof. Now the windows are also frameless. So when you remove the roof panels, you don't have a frame coming across. It really opens up and allows you to really experience what's outside while you're driving. Let's take a closer look up front. All right, so up front you see massive infotainment screens. This was inspired by the Apollo moon missions, so it's got a very lunar kind of design language, very angular lines throughout. and some great welcome animations when you come in, and a couple of unique things on the Hummer. It does have a start button. So it was right after the Hummer that they said, well, we don't really need a start button. So that still comes with that. But with every Hummer, you've got the programmable driver information screen. You've got this large infotainment screen. Really nice, large piano-style keys here. They've got a nice tactile feel to them. You've got the heated and cooled seats. You also get the Super Cruise, like what we saw in the Silverado and the Sierra, both featured that. And so that's the Hummer SUV. Let's take a look at the Hummer truck. All right, so here's the Hummer 3X Sport Utility Truck. This is finished off in Meteorite, as the color name of this. That's white, of course. In the back, we've got the multi-pro tailgate that's become so popular. And that comes down, and so with the multi-pro cutout there, we can use this as a step. We can use it as a cutout to have closer access to the bed. We can also use it as a load stop. So here in the back, we've got a 120 outlet and approximately 5-foot bed, has LED lighting in the bed. Overall, the length of the Hummer pickup truck is about 16 inches shorter than the Sierra or the Silverado pickup truck. So let's hop inside and actually take this for a ride. What do you say we go check out our off-road track? So the Hummer is as short a turning radius as the Silverado and the Sierra have. The Hummer is even shorter, and followed by the Hummer SUV. First of all, just a shorter wheelbase, but the Hummer's a little bit more aggressive on the four-wheel steering than the Silverado and the Sierra. So we're going to take a look. We're going to put it in off-road mode here as we get up a little bit further. So here at Alderman's, we love cars. We think that buying a car and checking a car out or a truck should be a lot of fun. And so inspired by Hummer, we created our own off-road test track here in the back of the dealership. And nothing more fun than the Hummer to drive on this. But we do sell a lot of off-road vehicles overall, and many of them are gas or diesel powered. So our first feature here on an off-road test track is I'm going to say it's about a 35-foot hill. It's essentially about the size of a two-story house. So if you ever thought, hey, I wonder what it would be like to go up and over a two-story house with a vehicle, well, we're going to find out today. So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and put this in terrain mode. And we accept here. And with terrain mode, that's going to make the rear wheels more active, and it's going to raise the height of the vehicle. And then we can turn on our cameras. And so we've got a forward-facing camera here, and so we can see what's in the front of the vehicle, or there's cameras underneath the vehicle. So we can actually look underneath the vehicle as we go along. So this is about 28 degrees up this hill. And then now we're on the roof of the house. Get a nice view here, and then we'll drop down 25 degrees. Of course, the vehicle is designed to do all this, so this is super easy for the Hummer. Then we've got some staggered 12-inch articulation bumps. So these are staggered. And again, we can see in the camera going over these bumps. Handles it like a pro. Then we come around and we've got basically a ditch filled with boulders. Requires 8 inches of clearance. We're well over that, but we can see on the camera here as we're doing a little rock crawling over those boulders in that ditch. And then we've got a super tight turning radius right here, which the Hummer handles with ease. And And then we've got a side hill that gets us to about a 20-degree side pitch. Sometimes I can get it just over 20. Get a nice angle here. And this is a lot of fun to do in the Hummer. Coming over here, we've got 18-inch articulation rails that are at a 45-degree angle. So it really challenges a lot of vehicles, not the Hummer, however, but Hummer maintains great traction, handles those with ease. And then we do it in reverse. We go up to 25 degrees, and then we come down the other side of the house with a 35-foot, 28-degree drop. And if the views were good last time, they're even better here. Come down nice and easy. So just another part of what makes it different to come here at Alderman Chevrolet GMC to check out your next vehicle. I can tell you that my personal vehicle is a 2023 GMC Hummer EV Edition 1. I just turned 20,000 miles on it. It is the most fun, coolest vehicle that I have ever had in my entire life, and it's not even close. And I'm not even remotely bored with it after 20,000 miles. I love it just as much now as I loved it on day one. And then coming down to wrap up our lineup is the Silverado work truck. Now this truck, it comes with the 200 kilowatt battery. You can get it with the 240 kilowatt battery, but the difference there is between 450 miles of range and 389 miles of range. Now that additional 40 kilowatts of battery costs roughly around $10,000. And by having a little bit smaller battery, you increase the towing capacity. You end up with 12,500 pounds of towing capacity on this Silverado work truck. Now this truck is equipped, it's four-wheel drive, and is priced below $55,000 for this truck, and incredibly spacious interior, the rubber flooring. Truck is very easy to take care of, and it's got a more kind of a simpler overall appearance inside. So why don't we take a quick look inside here. Inside, once again, we don't have a start button. We just simply hit the brake and everything powers up and is ready to go. This comes with a full suite of safety features and has the air conditioning and the power windows and everything. But the seats are manual. The frunk is a manual control instead of power. So it's a stripped down version of that Silverado truck. But this is a truck that people have said it tows great, runs great, simple to operate and to maintain. And has a lot of great safety features to boot. So including automatic braking, lane keep assist are some of the more sought out features. Even has dual zone climate control. Front bucket seats with a nice console. Really an incredible value for under $55,000. While it's a little bit smaller infotainment screen, it still has a full suite of cameras for being able to see the surround vision, trailering, and most importantly with this system, again, it's all intuitive and automatic. And so if we were getting close to something on the side, that camera would automatically come on. So we don't have to know which cameras it has and where they are and pick on the appropriate camera. It all happens automatically. This has the same one pedal driving, both from a safety and an efficiency perspective that the other vehicles have. So there you have the most comprehensive lineup in the industry. We've got the vehicles that cover about 80% of the types of vehicles that people are looking for, and it's still expanding. We're going to see in the very near future trucks that are in between the loaded Silverado and Denali and the work truck. So you're going to see the LT version, the SLT. We're going to see some off-road variants of these trucks coming all in 2025. But let me share with you just the EV lifestyle. It's so much different and has so many benefits that a lot of people don't talk about. Personally, for over 3 years, I've been EV exclusive. I've never once in that 3-year period of time stopped at a gas station, had to stand outside while I refueled my vehicle. Now, I have had to do some public charging, but in over 30,000 miles, I've never spent more than 54 minutes on a single charge at a public charger. I recently just drove straight back from the middle of Michigan back to Vermont, 730 miles. In my Hummer, it added 2 hours and 20 minutes of total charging time over 4 different charging spots. And frankly, I needed every single one of those stops. I also haven't had to change the oil in my vehicle one single time. No oil changes. And the reliability of these vehicles is just different. There's about half as many parts within an EV vehicle than there is an internal combustion vehicle. So I invite you to explore what your friends and neighbors and coworkers are starting to discover. That there's real money to be saved in driving an EV now and today. Plus, they can be a much cooler and exciting vehicle to drive. A vehicle that's quicker, a vehicle that stops quicker, handles better, and overall is just simpler and easier to maintain and to drive. So if you'd like to learn more about an EV, I invite you to check us out at aldermanchevrolet.com, check the EV tab, or come visit us in person here at Route 7 South in Rutland.